So it's with the remembrance of Irene and the wonderful significance of this event that I welcome you and thank you again for coming. It's also my great pleasure now to introduce Mr. Wynton Marsalis, who's the founding artistic director of Jazz at Lincoln Center, for a few remarks. Thank you.
Thank you all very, very much. Welcome to the House of Swing. It's a great pleasure to have you in the house tonight. I'm just going to say a few words about Irene. The first is that I loved her very deeply, and she was such a great mentor for me. The highlight of my year would be sitting down with Irene, having a very spirited repartee about many different subjects, from Richard Wright to the civil rights movement, to guns, of course, guns. I just saw David Ho. I was telling him every other word out of Irene's mouth would be David, David, what David says, David wants a David. She was the stellar example of citizenship, true, informed philanthropy. She would go to concerts, she would check things out. I did a series of records at the Village Vanguard. There's 7 recordings, and one night of it, Tuesday, is the wildest, craziest night of just, and she told me once, she said, you know, I got that box set, and I only like Tuesday. I don't like the rest of that stuff. She hated Winter Wonderland. Once I played Winter Wonderland for the Christmas tree ceremony here at Lincoln Center, she said, yeah, you know, it was okay, it was cold, but I hate Winter Wonderland. So every time I saw her, I made sure that I played Winter Wonderland in some form. She was a woman of such vision and clarity and energy and of concern, depth of knowledge, depth of understanding, subtlety of insight. And she remembers very clearly the many slights that she had when she was writing, and a lot of times her work would be taken for granted. So she always made sure that she had respect for the work of others and for the creativity of others. I miss her so much. I'm gonna close with 2 things Irene told me. This is on the topic that she loved to talk about more than any other topic, men and women. The first thing she said was, well, you know, I always fell in love with geniuses. Then it took me a long time to figure out that these guys only care about themselves. And then when I met my husband, well, he loved me, and I loved him too. And that was my most successful relationship. Which kind of guy are you? Then about George Gershwin, she said, oh, he pursued me, but he had so many women, I didn't want to be with him. I said, well, do you regret that now, all these years later? She said, well, knowing that he's probably the only one I know from that time, she said, let me just put it to you this way. If I had, I would have something to talk with you about. So you all have a good evening. It's been a pleasure. Take care.